So we just got done seeing another Nintendo Direct, and I think a lot of people are certainly going to be saying this wasn't a great Nintendo Direct. I personally thought it was alright. I wouldn't say it was, like, bad or anything, but it definitely had game franchises that catered towards specific audiences. For example, and I should say, of course, there's going to be a spoiler warning. Why are you watching this if you wouldn't be watching it? Tomodachi Life, that was the largest announcement. We're going to be going a little backwards here. Like, this was one of my predictions that came true. I was like, is there going to be a new entry? A new Tomodachi Life. Like, that's awesome to see. I'm happy for the fans. I'm happy. This is something they wanted. I said before that, like, is the Tomodachi Life in the 3DS going to go up in price? I do wonder if it's going to go up or down, and it's kind of sad that out of all the stuff in the Direct, I'm talking about the price of a previous entry in a series, but it looks pretty cool, this new Tomodachi Life. It definitely has, like, a 3D-esque to it. Like, yeah, Tomodachi Life was already 3D, but I always thought it was, like, more of, like, a 2D kind of looking series. Like, the island, like, now looks 3D when you look around it, and I think that's really freaking cool. It's cool because I just got Tomodachi Collection, the copy of that, the Japan-only one. I'm surprised they didn't localize that, but I guess it makes the most sense to have an entirely new entry. But yeah, the Nintendo Music app was definitely alluding to some sort of Tomodachi, I would say, or maybe Nintendo was just being Nintendo and, you know, put Tomodachi Collection in there for the sake of putting Tomodachi Collection in there. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, that was probably the biggest game for a lot of people. And then, like, everything else, like, they started the Direct off with, like, Dragon Quest 1 and 2. Like, I'm not huge in that game. Yeah, the NES games are, like, expensive now, but it's like, I don't know if necessarily would justify spending $60 for games you can beat in just, like, a day. You know, both of them, those games combined. And, like, there's still no release date. That's the thing, you're gonna notice this a lot with a lot of games. Like, we got to see some more stuff about Metroid Prime 4. Samus has, like, psychic powers, and I'm just like, what is this? We're making it into Star Wars now? And there's no release date. Like, what's going on? Like, that's weird. And then Pokemon Legends ZA. Okay, like, why are we, you know, seeing more about Pokemon Legends ZA when we just had a Presents? Like, what's even the point of Pokemon Presents anymore? Like, if they're just gonna, like, show stuff, the important stuff anyways from the Presents in there. Like, I don't think Pokemon's gonna be showing anything of interest anymore besides main series games for the next, like, couple of years. And then they'll just keep showing mobile game stuff. Like, spin-off stuff is basically dead because Pokemon just sees the money in mobile games, and it's unfortunate. But yeah, we got to see some stuff about Legends ZA. Probably the newest thing was like the thing with you can battle trainers at nighttime and you get to receive some kind of wish. Like, that seems to be the goal. And like, it's funny because, you know, that's where the title comes from. You're going from Z to A. You start off from the bottom up to the top. So that's kind of neat, I gotta say. And, you know, we got to do some other remakes, like, there was Devil Summoner. That's cool, we get to see that, because the PS2 games are expensive as all heck. Like, yeah, you can still get it on the PS3 store, but that's going to shut down, I'm sure, eventually. Maybe Atlus knows that it's going to be shut. I mean, I'm sure they know it's going to shut down eventually. Literally, Sony was threatening everyone, saying they're going to shut it down, you know, here soon. Well, soon as in 2021. But I'm sure we'll be seeing an announcement, like, within the next, like, couple of years, maybe even this year, that it's shutting down. But, yeah, that's good to know that that's there, considering the fact that, like, that's an expensive PS2 game. And, yeah, you can get it digitally for $10. But not everyone has a PS3, and people want to check things out on, I don't want to say modern platforms, but, yeah, you know, that's certainly something, I must say. But, yeah, so, you know, we got to see a lot of third-party stuff. A lot of third-party. Like, everyone was saying we're going to see Silk Song or Deltarune, and I just don't see that as, like, something that's going to happen during a Nintendo Direct. Like, I feel like they're going to make a dedicated event for that. Like, yeah, Toby Fox has showcased Undertale before being ported to the Switch, but, like, that's a port, you know? I probably am going to get roasted in the comments because I think someone has said before, like, oh, actually, Silk Song and Undertale, that's been announced before Deltarune, and just like, I'm not even going to attempt, so have fun, have at it in the comments. You know, I'm not that interested in those series compared to a lot of people. Sorry, I will say, sorry, though, you didn't get to see your Silk Song or Deltarune stuff. I'm sure that's going to really disappoint people and trash on things like Tomodachi Life, but... So we got Crypt of the Necrodancer, this rhythm-esque game, which I think is going to get a lot of people interesting. Now, the big thing that upset me about this, though, is the fact that they already have DLC when the game's, like, already going to be out. Like, you know, obviously a lot of people tend to say that comes off as kind of scummy, and or like them just trying to make money. And it's like, yeah, it's an indie game studio. I guess that can be justified in that sense, but it's like, you know, you're gonna get people that are gonna say things like that. I mean, the big thing that made me wanna, you know, not spend money was not the Celeste DLC, but the fact that they showed Peppino from Pizza Tower. They didn't even mention it, they just showed it. They're like, oh yeah, you know, DLC coming. It's like, I'm not much of a rhythm game fan though. Like, I'm a Pizza Tower fan. Like, am I enough of a Pizza Tower shill to want to get, you know, this rhythm game just to get the Pizza Tower DLC? I'm gonna have to say no. But this might disappoint people, but it's like, I don't know. I just don't feel like super huge on getting into games that I'm not really into. But maybe, I mean, I'm a pretty open-minded person, even though that literally didn't come off as that. So, you know, whatever, I guess. And then there is this Pac-Man-esque game. I'm literally saying this off the top of my head. It was like Chasm something. You know, people can... I was gonna say grill, but whatever. I'm just going off this another take because I forgot about this. But there's like this like Metroidvania game made by Bandai Namco that has like a Puck is his name. Or their name. It's like this like creature that's with this person that's like in this robe that look to be some kind of like dark entity, because they show that like the dark entity will pop out and like eat other enemies and stuff like that. And it definitely kind of gives like, you know, that Hollow Knight vibe. A lot of people, you know, have been coping for that Hollow Knight game, but it's like, it's interesting because it's like, it basically is like a Pac-Man game if you think about it, because you literally are using like Puck as like in Pac-Man-esque things where you can traverse walls, almost like the spider ball for Metroid. So it's like Namco, you know, making a Metroidvania. There's just like way too many Metroidvanias. Like, everyone always talks about 8-bit platformers, but it's like, it's insane how many Metroidvanias there are out there now. And it's like, now we have one with a Pac-Man-esque one by Namco. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. It's like, it's kind of jarring. It's interesting, and I mean, it feels very sinister, because I thought like Puck is going to be like the bad guy, but honestly it feels like your main character might even be like the bad guy. Honestly, it kind of interests me just because of the Pac-Man like aesthetic. Like, you know, they're definitely finding people like me that want to pull me into that. So I might have to pick this up. It comes out in July or the summer, if I got that wrong, the summer, like July 18th. Maybe something like that. I shouldn't even be trying to guess that, and I'm looking at my notes. But yeah, you get the idea. Pretty interesting game. Check that out if you're interested. A new entry in Rhythm Heaven. I kind of go all over the place. I probably should have started this off with, you know, this first, because it made me think, like, wait a second. Tomodachi Life? Like, wait, they're speaking in, like, a tone like Tomodachi Life. And I'm like, oh, no, this is Rhythm Heaven. I can tell by the beats and the bops and stuff like that. So, and it was funny because they pronounce, like, the Japanese, like, you know, 5 syllables, or excuse me, vowels in the start, which I thought was kind of neat, with the characters. Like, oh, it seems pretty easy, but it's actually pretty challenging. And like, yeah, the depth perception with that hula hoop. Yeah, I mean, there's some other big highlights, you know, Patapon, like that's a huge PSP game for a lot of people. That's neat. They got 1 and 2. You know, a lot of other indie games that we're seeing. Story of Seasons, that's cool. We got to see that. You know, all kinds of neat things. Really wasn't any like huge Nintendo announcements besides just like showcasing games, you know, again, that we already know about, like Prime 4, and, you know, learning about psychic powers for Samus, which was weird to say the least. Nothing that was like, you know, screaming like, oh, I really needed to see this direct. I see why Nintendo, like, you know, announced this like late. Surprisingly, no Kirby as well. What's going on with Kirby? Are we going to see it for Switch 2? I would hope we do, because I think a lot of people... It's because a lot of people said before that, like, I'm, like, being spoiled or something for liking Kirby, because we see it so much. But it's weird, because we might see the rare, like, instance of Kirby not having a game for 2 years. We've never seen that before, ever since the Kirby series, you know, launched, all the way back on the Game Boy in the 90s. So it's like, what's going on? What's going to happen with the Kirby series, I do wonder. Are we going to see some sort of mini sub-game or something? Cal must really be cooking up with the main series entry for Kirby, because something's going on, I'm sure. But yeah, so, you know, the Nintendo Direct, it then was weird because it closed off after Tomodachi Life. It was like, oh, we actually have another announcement, and it was like, oh, this isn't a game, though. It's like, oh, well, expect disappointment, they're basically telling us. And it's like a Nintendo app that, like, I think it's called Nintendo, like, My Life or something like that, where it's a free app. Anyone can get it. and it basically will wake you up in the morning saying like, oh, here's the Nintendo news, you know? So it's like Nintendo has really evolved around like, you know, it's now a lifestyle. This isn't like just games anymore. It's like, oh, you know, you wake up, you know, you revolve your life around like, all right, what's happening with Nintendo today? I'm excited, looking forward to it. Oh, hey, this game, you know, was announced, and it's like, it's a calendar that'll like tell you what's happening on your phone. So it's like or what's happening with Nintendo in that day, and they're gonna have like all sorts of announcements. So like basically what Nintendo is saying is, hey, we know that Twitter is exploding and we don't really want to make a blue sky, so let's just make our own media platform, because like we're like a multi-billion-dollar corporation. So it's like, you know, that honestly I think is a pretty smart move on Nintendo's part, to say the least, just because, you know, they can do that, and why not do that? Like, this honestly reminds me of the Nintendo News channel on the Wii. I'm probably saying that wrong because it's been years and I just woke up for this, but I remember loving that channel. It would always lag because I had bad internet, but I love, you know, that using that channel for just like news and stuff about Nintendo. Granted, it was like old news and stuff, but it was perfect for someone like me who barely had any access to the internet, and when you got it occasionally, you could check out, you know, old trailers and stuff. It was weird on the Wii later on because they only showed like I think like stuff from 2012, and they just like stopped updating it at one point, which was interesting to say the least. But yeah, now we have the all great, you know, mighty mode of Nintendo News. Like, there already is like a news on the Switch. There's a news, you know, featured section, but now you get to have it on your smartphone, and hey, it's free, which the, you know, the Nintendo channel on the Wii was also free. So, you know, I think that's kind of neat. Oh yeah, and I how could I forget the elephant in the room? Digital game cards. Yeah, you know, Nintendo basically saying we're also going to be eventually phasing out physical games. Yeah, they have digital game cards they're going to be making. I don't remember if they said this is going to apply to every digital game. I'm hoping it would. Probably just first-party games, I would imagine, because you might have to opt into something like that. But this is basically a system where you can like trade around games now to other people, and digital games, without owning the physical cartridge. And, you know, it honestly has felt for a while that like physical Switch games, there doesn't really feel like there's a whole purpose to them. Like, they're just like, oh, you know, open it up and, you know, it's just a game cartridge, and, you know, maybe like the rare 1% out there will have some kind of like ad insert in there, or maybe a manual, you know, in the rare spot. But, you know, using the system now, you can trade digital games around. You can also, they can be set to like a specific time limit of like 14 days, for example. And that's nice because, like, you know, with the growing cost of games, it's becoming more and more harder. This makes sense, though, why Nintendo is phasing out gold coins. It makes sense why they did this, because with physical, like with gold points, you have to insert a physical copy, and you can get gold points that way. Nintendo, I feel like, just doesn't want to deal with the hassle of coding something new with like digital games. They'd rather like they would make this whole new system of exchanging, you know, digital copies. And when the digital copy is exchanged to someone else, that person who gave it away to the other person can't use it anymore. Once it comes back, you know, they can use it, but don't worry, it will be returned automatically after like a set day. It's like a timed, you know, feature, kind of like Nintendo Switch Online, how it is, where it's like you can like ping the server after a couple days, where it like, that's how you play offline, play with like NES games. Like after like 3 days or something, it'll like check again, like, let's see if you can play this. Oh, we're revoking your license automatically. So you gotta connect to the internet to get it back. So like the games are technically on your system still, but it's just like a license, you know, the all looming age of digital games. Everyone is always like over here like arrogantly thinking like, oh yeah, Nintendo's still gonna support physical games, yeah, XYZ, stuff like that. Yeah, I'm sure they will, but it's like this like digital system we're seeing here. People did say, I like they said like 10 years, which is in 2020, physical games are going away. We're halfway to that point. Physical games, I would say, definitely supported with the Switch too, as we're seeing with backwards compatibility. But this like digital game system, it's showing that like, hey, you know, we're getting rid of physical games, you know, very soon, as in like within 5 years, maybe sooner, maybe later of the future. Definitely within, you know, close to that 5-year time frame. Hey, let's make this new system. While it is cool on paper, it just is a reminder saying the ever-looming digital future is, you know, right around the corner. And before you know it, it'll be there, and, you know, we'll be exchanging our digital codes and licenses with other people. So, you know, have fun with that, and then we can just all be, you know, controlled by capitalism. But I guess, like, you know, that is cool that you can do that, because I remember people always say that you can't exchange, you know, physical copy or digital copies easily. Physical copies is something you can do, but now it's like, oh, now you have that argument, you can technically do that. But it still is better to have, of course, the physical copy, because, you know, you technically own it. as long as that cartridge is still alive and it isn't dead. But with that being said, then let me know what you think about this direct down below. It was certainly an interesting one. I think, you know, Nintendo, the biggest things was definitely not necessarily game relating stuff, but like features like that app. And, you know, for me personally, I think that was interesting. I wouldn't say it was like anything crazy, like it, you know, I have a very cynical mindset with this kind of stuff, but it was interesting to say the least. And, you know, Rhythm Heaven Fever, that's kind of neat for a lot of people. Rhythm Heaven, excuse me, and Tomodachi Life. But, you know, that being said, then hope you have a great rest of your night, day, time zone. Let me know what you think down below about this direct. Was it good, bad? You know, what game are you excited for? And of course, don't forget to steal yourselves. Bye-bye, everyone.